Hello and welcome to JudoFest 2020. My name is Florin Daniel Lascaux. I am IGF Sports Director and Acting Refereeing Director. This session I will do together with Hall of Fame 9 Dan Neil Adams. Hi Neil.
Hey Daniel, nice to see you. Long way away, but we can still do this. But I think we've got a lot of questions that we've got to answer. So let's get straight to the questions if we can and answer them as honestly and as clearly as we can.
Let's do it. We have a first question. Why was Yuko removed? The judo sport is a dynamic sport, and we try to offer judo not just for the judoka, but for the entire world. Therefore, the decision of the IGF Board of Directors was to have 2 scores and 2 penalties. Therefore, we have wazari, which means that is a technique, or half point, and ippon, which is a full point. Therefore, 2 wazaris, 1 ippon, that means end of the fight. And we have also shido. Accumulation of 3 shido will be hansokumake or direct hansokumake. In this case, after we lose Koka, also Yuko was removed from the scoreboard. During the Olympic qualification, the IGF tried to do not change, to do not modify any points of the rules. Therefore, we have just a small window after the Olympic Games where we can try another format of the judo contest and of course of the judo rules. We tried after last Olympics to have additional wazaris, but however, it was quite unacceptable for judo tradition that a contest was continuing and finishing sometimes with 3, 4, even 5 or 6 wazari. We tried for 1 year, we have seen how it works, and finally we decide to come back to the traditional scoring of judo: wazari, 1 wazari, half point, 2 wazari, 1 point. Neil, do you want to add something?
No, I think that that was a good way of explaining it, Daniel, and it's that it simplifies it, you know, and for me as a commentator as well, and for the public, I think it makes it a lot easier, doesn't it, to understand as well. I think it was a little bit complicated for people watching from the outside, so a lot simpler now and easier to understand.
Thank you very much, Neil. We have now the third question. How does the referee determine how much time can pass in the transition from standing judo to newaza? The time of activity in newaza, the time of performing a technique, the time needed for development of an action in newaza will be not interrupted by the referee. We have to take in consideration the activity like we are doing also in standing judo, in tachiwaza, also in newaza. As long there is a technique, as long we can see that the fight is active, we will let the athletes continuing. Of course, we have to take in consideration the part of the fight, especially end of the contest, and if this is not a tactical fight or it is a real fight. Neil, I will kindly ask you now to take your partner and together just to show a short demonstration of, for example, sumigaeshi going into taking the leg out between the legs.
So I think that this situation here, Daniel, is a situation where if it's progressive and I'm working, if my opponent has my legs here, if I stay here, it's mate, they will stand us up. But if I am looking as if I can finish this and I'm working really hard here to take this leg out here, I manage to take the leg out and then move in for the osai komi. If it's progressive, then the referee will allow it to carry on. It's only when I stop that the referee will mate it and stand us up.
Thank you very much, Neil. Now we are coming to the videos. We go for the first video, having a look if there is a score or no score. And if it's a score, what kind of score? Blue, it's attacking here with Ostogari, continuing. And we have now a second camera. And the question here is if there is a score or not. We are taking into consideration the landing. And now, due to the technology we have the possibility to have a slow motion or a photo, a slash of the throw. And here we can provide the evidence of this throw. Even in the action was not looking like a score, but watching carefully, we realized that white was landing on the side, therefore Wazari. I would like to ask Neil now to make a short explanation for the situation of landing on the side. Neil, please.
Yeah, I think that the big problem here sometimes, Daniel, is that if it's the wrong angle here, just lie down. If it's the wrong angle, sometimes you cannot see if it's a score or not. But when we go around the other side from the other angle, it shows clearly that they're landing on the side here. Even if it lands on the side, then goes to the front. But the first initial landing is on the side. And the big key here is the arm. And the arm here, if it's in this particular position here, you can see that the side here of the back and all the way down the back there and the leg as well is in contact with the mat. So score, definite score. But sometimes the angle depicts, whether you can see it clearly or not. If you see it from the other angle, it doesn't always look like a score. From the second angle, definitely a score. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Neil. And here we go to the second example, looking if there is a Wazari or Ippon. This was the first camera. As we can see, white is attacking with Kosotogari. And the question is here, Wazari or Ippon. Now, according to the rules we have, the impact decides the score. As Neil was mentioning before, landing on the side, it is Wazari. But rolling from one shoulder to the other one, rolling from the belt to the back, to the shoulders, or from the shoulders back to the belt, depending on technique, we consider Ippon. And here we have a few techniques. In the demonstration of the techniques, in the Nagikomi of the technique, they have the principle of rolling. Neil, I kindly ask you to show us one example.
I'm going to show you one example here is that, first of all, Daniel, if it's in two different sections, so for example, if it goes backside here and then rolls, this is two different movements. Okay, so it lands first and then the opponent puts force in, makes them go onto their back. Two different movements, definite Wazari. And if the landing comes from the bottom and base of the back here, and even though it's soft with the landing, if it rolls onto the shoulders here, then it's what we class as an Ippon. So for example, it goes here and it's soft, but the whole idea is that it's landed here and in one movement, it's gone onto the point of the shoulders or over most of the back. But it's with control with the hands, and we class that, I'll do one more, we class that as a definite from here, Ippon. Soft, but with control, and it's the whole of the back.
Thank you very much, Neil. As Neil mentioned, if the throw is executed with control, with speed and power, even if it's a rolling in the technique, we still consider Ippon. And here we are going to the last example. Judo is a dynamic sport and we have dynamic throws, but the dynamic has to finish with a valuable score. Let's see the landing of this throw and then we will speak about the score of the throw. So we are going now to the third example. Blue, it's attacking to the front and then turning into ouchigari. We have also a second camera from the top, and we have also a third camera. Now, for a very short moment, the referee was almost in the point to give a score, but the consideration of the referee here is the elbow. I would like to show you a picture where the landing is documented by a photo. And in this picture, we can see that the elbow of white is outside. Therefore, no score. Neil, I kindly ask you to make the difference between landing on the side, even the arm is under the body, with elbow under the body or with elbow outside of the body, please.
Okay, this is a prime example, Daniel, of from the first two angles, it looked as if it was a score because it was continuous, but actually it was two different movements. And what happened was here, if we have a look at this first example that we had, this elbow here was out. And we saw that on the third example, didn't we, that we had, but from a different angle, which is why, as referee supervisors, we have three different angles and cameras to look at. Because you see it, first of all, and you think, definite score. Sometimes the referee is in the wrong position as well. But if the arm had been up here with the landing, even if they'd have been on his side and continue back here, then it might have been a score. But with the elbow out, first landing here, and then the second push from his opponent was two different movements, and so no score. But thank goodness for the third angle, because we could have given a score for the wrong movement. But thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Neil. And here we can see the hard job of the referees and of the supervisors and refereeing commission, which in a few seconds they have to decide about a score. Due to the technology we have today, as Neil mentioned, we can have the look not just from one camera, but also for a second, and sometimes for 3 or 4 different cameras, 3 or 4 different angles, and therefore we can have the argumentation that this was a score or not a score. I would like to start another set of questions, and the first question is coming from Victor Pinon, asking if it's okay to hold the wrist. Neil, I kindly ask you to go a little bit through the demonstration of the grips which we are taking in judo, and in which case they are allowed or not allowed, please.
I think with when it comes to kumakata, what we're not allowed to do is to take the wrist here, hold the wrist down, whether it's with one hand or 2 hands here. You are not allowed to just take the wrist. The times that we can catch the wrist is, for example, if we're fighting hard here and we're waiting for this hand to come across, and then we take the wrist here. As we throw, same movement, so it's immediate, then it's possible to do it. The other situation might be if, for example, my wrist or my sleeve is being dominated, and again I take the wrist here, not allowed to just take it and push it down and hold it there, but what I would be able to do is to just catch the wrist here and then to throw off it. Immediate attack. It's like all grips. Anything unorthodox, I need to be able to attack immediately.
Thank you very much, Neil. I just got this keyword immediately, and this is actually what we will use later on also during our JudoFest 2020. Now we are going for another question from GVR, which asks us if it's allowed to wear under the gi knee pads or protection. The answer is yes. According to the rules, we can wear protection under the gi, but we have first of all to take care we do not have any metal or hard plastic inside. And secondly, we have to make sure that the opponent can have the possibility to grip our gi without any restriction. Therefore, before the athletes are going on the mat, the IGF Education Commission is doing a judogi control, making sure that the gi, the jacket, the trousers, the belt are in the right dimension. Neil, will you be so kind to show us, just as a short example, how should be a protection?
Yes, surely. Well, Daniel, we've got, like you said, we do strict testing, don't we? And they're very, very strict on this. What we've got here is we've got a pad already underneath here, and I cannot grip anything on that knee whatsoever. If this pad here, if I roll it up just so that we can see it here, if this was down here around the ankle and exactly the same situation there where I couldn't actually grip it, it's not possible to grip, then that's an unfair advantage, obviously, for the opponent. And I think that there's probably a few people asking about it so that they could put some padding on underneath. And of course, Daniel pointed out that nothing metal underneath, immediate honsokamaki, if you wear something metal on your pad, you can't do that. So my suggestion to all of you is make sure that your trousers have enough material in them here, otherwise you will have to take the pad off. They won't allow you to have it on, okay? So you need sufficient room there so that the opponent can take a good grip.
Thank you very much, Neil. In order to avoid any kind of problems on spot before the competition, I kindly ask you to use home sokuteiki, the instrument to measure your gi. Having home the right measurers, you avoid that when you are coming to the judogi control, you don't have to change your judogi, taking a judogi which is not yours, and also to lose your coach on the chair. And now we are going to the next question, which is from Tabea. The question is, when it's going out of the mat, is there or not a shido? We have here two different points of view. First of all, if it's the point when one of the athletes is pushing the other one out, and the other point is when one of the athletes is stepping out. We have here to make sure that if somebody is pushing, we have to have the arguments and the evidence that one of the athletes is really pushing the other one out. If not, the responsibility is for the athlete who is stepping out. Neil, I kindly ask you with your partner to go and to demonstrate what we are meaning with pushing out and stepping out.
I think that if somebody can guide somebody out, so if they're in a good posture, if their head is up, they can guide somebody towards the edge. And people get mixed up with what a push is. For a real pushing action, it's when their head goes down here and really stiff arms, and you can see by the angle here, and they're really edging me up to the top. It's more of a push than me being at the edge here. So a definite, absolute push from my opponent here. So it's posture that certainly is different, because I needn't get caught at the edge. There's no reason to get caught. But if my partner really determined to push me out, the head goes down and you can see it's a totally different angle. Push, off you go, push me out. And that is without a doubt a definite push.
Thank you very much. Neil, I kindly ask you now, together with your partner, to have a short demonstration what you are meaning with being inside or outside. First of all, alone. Would you be so kind to go to the edge and show us your legs inside of the tatami?
Sure. So, I mean, first of all, this definitely inside. 1 foot out here with an immediate move back in would be inside. Either side. So if I come back in immediately, so 1 foot can be out and moving back in here. Both feet in here. If I start any technique, both feet in, fantastic. Okay, so that's what we want. And of course, Daniel, all right, if both feet come out together, then this is definitely out.
Thank you very much. I would like, together with your partner, to show us dynamic without demonstrating a techniques. Just the movement when you stay inside, when you step outside and immediately inside, and of course when you are stepping with both feet outside.
So again, as I was saying, that if my opponent here, if they have the aim to push us out, then everything changes here. But if they're guiding me to the edge here, it is possible for me, even if one foot goes out here, is to come back inside of the area. So one foot goes out, immediately back in, so everything is still in play. If he guides me to the edge here and I get caught on the edge, it's my fault. All right, and so therefore, even if I am from here skipping along the edge here, one foot out, back in, or if both feet come out, definite Shido for me. Even if we come to the edge and I'm skipping along the edge here and then go out, it's my fault and it's me that should get the penalty.
Thank you very much, Neil. You are moving quite well for your age. Not so bad.
Thanks for that. It's your turn next down here.
No problem. Neil, I would like to make sure that our people watching this JudoFest are having the arguments when a technique can be thrown outside even while starting inside. Will you be so kind with your partner to show us the possibility starting inside and finishing outside?
So starting inside, any technique that starts, let's just take Tayatoshi, for example, my favorite technique, as everybody knows. So say, for example, I was in a situation where one foot was out. As long as one foot is in, then this is a start inside the area. As long as I do it immediately, 1 and 2, then in for the technique. So it is in. Also, from this situation here, and it might be Kenken, Ouchigari, or it might be Uchimata. If I start from here, hop, 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 and it goes outside, but they land, then it is again a score. It starts inside, and I've seen many techniques that have gone right the way outside and started quite a bit inside the area here. Okay, so they hit with first techniques here, goes out, out, and finish the technique outside, and it counts as in. Is there any other situation that you wanted to see, Daniel?
Yes, Neil, please. I would like that your uke is attacking you with ouchigari, and I would like to see 2 different situations. The first situation, Neil, where without any interruption, even you are outside, you continue with sasaye. And the second, I would like to see that you are stopping the action of ouchigari, and then from outside you attack with another technique, for example, osotogari, just to make sure that also as a second opponent who is continuing the action, you can get a score or you don't get a score.
Yeah, so the situation is that if my opponent is attacking me, so we're going out now, okay, so as we go out from here, and then as we're outside of the area, the second technique is mine, but it's continuous, then I am able to score, for sure. And the second situation, what was the second situation?
The second situation was, Neil, that you actually avoid ouchigari, you are outside, you break the action, and then you start another action. For example, with osotogari.
Exactly. Okay, so this is where I think a lot of people get mixed up. And we have some very close, don't we, decisions that we have to make on this. So, for example, ouchigari, my partner attacks ouchigari, I stop now and then start the technique from here. It might be Osotogari. It might be Osotogari on the other side. From here, it stops, and then it's a completely new technique that starts from the outside. So a little bit different than my opponent attacking me from here and being a continuous movement, than a partner attack, stop, and then we do a second attack. And we have to differentiate between the two, but I hope we've made an explanation that kind of explains it. So here we can see that the ouchigari here and the stop before the second technique, okay? So it is two separate techniques. It's not one movement. And I think that that is the key point to it. This is two different techniques. You can see the ouchi there, and then the start of the second technique there from the outside. And it's quite clear, Daniel, that the technique is starting from the outside. Both feet are on the outside rather than something continuous, like we saw with the sasai.
Thank you very much, Neil. Indeed, we speak now about having one action where one or both athletes are involved, or we are speaking about having two different actions. What we have to make sure it is that the action, the beginning of the action was inside the mat. And Neil's demonstration lead me to the next two video examples we have now. In the first example, we will see that the feet of the athlete are both outside, starting from outside, a new technique, opposite to the second example where we have a continuation. Let's go to the first video now. We have here the situation when white is attacking Uchimata, another technique, and then throwing. It looks like it is one action, but actually it was a stop. After Uchimata, he changed the movement. One more time. And here we have the photo showing us when the second action starts and where. We can see in this picture that white is with both feet outside. So after the first Uchimata, without any continuation, the second action was starting actually with both feet on the red mat. Therefore, this action cannot be continued for score or any other purposes. I would like to go to another video from inside outside, and now we can see that even finishing the action white outside of the mat, because the start of the action was inside, we can consider score. A beautiful action without any interruption. And as you can see, far, far away from the contest area. But let's have a look from the second video. Here we can see white taking the grip and going Uchimata, Kouchi, continuing Uchimata, and then continuing it Ouchi, Ouchi, Ouchi. And finally, the throw. And now the big question is where everything started. And fortunately, we can have the evidence that the action started inside. Now you can see that not one, even both feet of white have been inside. One was enough to start the action. And therefore, even the finality of the throw was white outside. We have to consider inside, and in this case also score. Thank you very much, Neil, for the good demonstration of what we are meaning with inside, outside. And we should start with the next block of questions. And the next questions is coming from Jamie, asking us what is a pistol grip. Neil, I kindly ask you to take your partner, your uke, and demonstrate us what is the difference between a classic sleeve grip going into pistol grip.
I think that many people get a little bit mixed up with pistol grip, hence the question, of course. And I think that what happens is that experienced fighters know how to change a normal grip at the end here into pistol grip. And what happens is that the thumb comes over the top and then catches underneath. So it starts with a traditional grip here, then the thumb releases and then just pops underneath here in order to catch the end of the sleeve. And of course, the danger of this is that it is, of course, so tight around the wrist. I mean, it's great control, but it's cutting off the blood supply, and it's an untraditional grip. So you can't just hold it there. You have to attack with it immediately. So if you were going to do anything like that, you would have to attack immediately. But that's a whole other thing. That's how it happens from the end of the grip there, thumb over, and then capturing and tightening the sleeve around the wrist. That's your traditional pistol grip.
Thank you very much, Neil. Your explanation leads us to the next question, which comes from Yasuyen. If the pistol grip is legal or not legal?
Okay, so again, I kind of led into it, Daniel, in is that it's illegal, but what I would say is that if we had a situation where, and we have it a lot, don't we, high-level kumakata, and we see the matches where they're fighting for the end of the sleeve, fighting for control of the arm. If it did go underneath here into the pistol grip here, if it was an immediate throw from it, then you would probably be okay. And I'm going to ask you, Daniel, whether you would allow that, but I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. But I think that there are situations where we see people like this walking around. It's immediate stop. Anything where you're holding anything untraditional here and you're not attacking immediately, then you're going to be in trouble. So I think that if that is your main aim there, to control this arm, if you went round here, catch, and then attack, then you might get away with it and it would be okay. For me, it would be okay. What about you, Daniel?
Thank you very much, Neil, for taking in discussion again the word immediately. Immediately for us becomes more and more important. And I kindly ask you now to go through unclassics grips like the cross grip, one side grip, two sleeves, two lapel, belt grip, and to show which grips are allowed if we are doing immediately an attack or immediately an throw. Please.
So again, anything that's not sleeve lapel, we get more time to set it up if it's traditional sleeve lapel. Not always possible. So many different grips. So if we were, for example, holding both sleeves here, it would have to be sleeves, either break balance and then to attack immediately off it. The other situation, of course, is one hand cross grip here, two hands on cross grip. We have the two lapels here, and of course not forgetting the very, very strong Korean grip here, which now we know it's very strong because we've fought enough of the Korean fighters who use it all the time. And as soon as they pull the head in here, they have to now attack immediately. Okay, so, and of course the belt grip here, and we just turn around, if we capture the belt here, then it's got to be, whether it's underneath here or over the top, and it can be this side of the head or that side there. If we capture the belt, again, it's got to be immediately attack. They are the different grips, the different kumakata, and They are not traditional, they're not orthodox, but we have to attack immediately. So as you can see here, taking the belt needs immediate attack, and you can't, whether it's underneath or over the top, you can't just hold on to the belt and wait for the right opportunity. That's the thing about unorthodox grip. It has to be an orthodox grip, and then it has to be immediately attacking. Over to you, Daniel.
Your demonstration, Neil, lead me to the next question, close to what we have said now. The question is if you can use two hands on the sleeve for defending. So I kindly ask you to go one more try, explaining that for attacking, you can use the grip, but not for defending.
Yeah, well, there are a couple of situations that I have here is that obviously so many Sorisura Komigoshis and Siotoshi movements from sleeves here. And we've seen it so often, haven't we, where they're pushing the hands down here just to block out, whether it's one hand here or whether it's two hands, but it's without getting action-reaction. So if we're going to have two hands on, again, immediately we have to attack, which means pushing down, get the reaction, and then to be able to attack off it. And the other thing that comes into mind for me, of course, is, and a lot of people talk about two hands on for defense, for taking hands off to dominate the sleeve. And there is nothing that you can do, whether if you've got two hands on one side here, whether it's knock off or whether it's to break off, you cannot do it. Okay, so it has to be to take it off and then to attack immediately. And can you think of any other situations, Daniel, that you want me to point out there with two hands defending?
I kindly ask you to go when you catch the lapel and the collar. Also the situation of defending, not attacking, but defending with a Korean grip. How are we calling?
Yes, I mean, there's several, we have to, I think as supervisors, we're looking to see if people are taking a kumikata for positive reaction, because the thing is if you have strong kumikata, then you take the grip, and what you want to do is you want to attack. But if I am just stopping my opponent either here or here by blocking out, if I am just blocking out for the sake of blocking out, then it's negative. And of course, that means that for this here, and it's a really strong grip, the Korean grip is really strong, and when they pull your head in here, if they're just walking around and just tapping away at the legs, it is a negative judo, so the whole idea is that whatever grip it is here is that we can attack off it. And the main aim, of course, is what we are looking for as supervisors. Our main aim is that they're trying to score ippon. So whether it is a cross grip, whether it's defending, whether it's whatever, blocking out, it's all about being positive. Daniel, anything else to add to that?
No, there's nothing to add concerning the kumikata on the upper part of the body, but we are coming now to the kumikata under the belt. And we have the question here from Lobanitze, if we can touch accidentally the trousers. Generally, according to our rules, there is no grip under the belt allowed, especially no grip under the belt which are affecting us in the throwing process of the opponent. According to our rules, each kind of grip under the belt is immediately penalized. There are some situations where there is nothing to avoid. In this situation, we have to handle very well, going, for example, for a positive score, not watching so much to the grip under the belt. Of course, if there is ippon, there is ippon. If there is wazari, and however, one of the opponents, in this case, uke, was gripping under the belt, it can be the situation where we are giving wazari for one athlete and shido for the athlete who was gripping under the belt. I would like to let now this question open also for the future. and we are coming in the new rules with examples and videos where we show how we can deal with this situation. I will go to the next question, and the next question, it is about to pass the head under the armpit of the opponent. We have to answer this question to Binta, who is asking us if one of the opponents has a regular grip, a classic grip, it is allowed for the other one to pass his head under the grip.
Okay, well, I can say to you, Binta, that it's not. You can't do it. So if your head is being controlled here and you duck underneath here to avoid the strong grip, then it's definitely a penalty. You will definitely be penalized. If, for example, you ducked underneath the head and then attacked immediately, then that would be okay. And so you need to think of something positive, because if you did duck underneath in order to attack, you would have to attack properly, not just putting the leg across. It has to be a strong attack. Okay, so the answer to your question, no to just ducking under, definite penalty. Duck under, here, attack. You will, if it's a strong attack, get away with it. Okay. So again, as you can see, it's all about being positive. And it means that if your head is being controlled, if you go underneath the arm, then you are going to be penalized. The referee will stop you. If you go underneath the arm and then attack, and it's a strong attack as well, then you will get away with it, and it will count as a proper attack. So make sure it's a strong attack. Daniel.
Thank you very much, Neil. Thank you very much. We are continuing now with the last question for Kumikata. I have a question from Fan B Nils. Will positive Kumikata below the belt ever be allowed? Now, I will not hand over to Neil to show me a positive Kumikata under the belt. I'm quite confused by this question. First of all, I would like, if possible, that Neil's Fan B will send me a video from competition, a realistic video, where he can show me a positive Kumikata below the belt. But we are going now to the next block, and next block will focus on Kansetsuwaza, and especially part of Kansetsuwaza is applying of Kansetsuwaza in the frame of the rules. The first example will focus on Udegarami. Neil, I kindly ask you to go to answer for James Stewart the next question about Udegarami, especially on the back of uke. Where is Udegarami allowed and where is forbidden?
So I think that Udegarami is allowed if it's arm entanglement. So from here, this, for example, is allowed. I think what is not allowed here from here is if we twist the arm up towards the back, and we've seen it many times where they're really cranking this arm up here towards the head and twisting the wrist at the same time. And of course, it's not applying pressure to the elbow here, but it's applying pressure to the shoulder. Anything that's dangerous to the shoulder is not allowed. Okay, so is allowed here. Well, this is an Udegarami movement here when it comes up behind the back and they start to pull this up towards the head and they start to twist the arm. That's not allowed. So look at the general Udegarami movement there. That is allowed. This is what's not allowed. You can see here that the amount of pressure that must be on that shoulder here, and when they start to crank on it, of course, that's where injuries start. And we don't want any injuries, that's for sure. Daniel.
Thank you very much. Taking in consideration the safety of judo, safety for tori and safety for uke, we are going now to the next question concerning flying jujigatame. The question from Arthur, it is a flying jujigatame or sankaku jime, legal or not? First of all, I have to clarify that a flying sankaku jime I haven't seen until now. So this is also a big question for me to Arthur to send me a video just to be on the same page. But Neil, will you be so kind to show to all our judo community the danger, the big danger of tori by a flying jujigatame?
Well, I think that there's two dangers here, Daniel. The first one, of course, is the person applying the flying jujigatame. They go so high up into the air, and it tends to be, the execution's very quick. So as they go up in here, you can see here that to apply it, he's going to be throwing the hips forwards. I might collapse, and my arm is straight. But the other danger is, of course, the person executing the jujigatame falling onto the back of their neck here. And if I fall on top of them as well, all my weight goes on top and can end in a really bad injury. Neck injury, shoulder injuries, and safety is the key, and we don't want that. So that's why we don't have the flying jujigatame anymore.
This was a very nice explanation, Neil. Thank you very much. And I would like to close the set of questions for submissions with the last question from Jerg. There is a last question in this block of questions concerning standing submissions. Now, being a sport, we have to take in consideration that we have to protect tori and uke. This makes the difference between us and the martial arts. In terms of safety, we have to take also in consideration that judo is not done just by seniors, but also by juniors and cadets. It is our responsibility to show a sport where is judo techniques to apply, where we can do judo technique without injuring ourselves or the opponent. And this leads me to the next two video examples, Neil. I would like together with you to go to the two examples we have now. The one example is for applying the groups of Seoyotoshi, Seoinage, Sodetsuri, Komigoshi sometimes, which can lead to Kansetsuwaza injuries, to illegal Kansetsuwaza in Tachiwaza.
Yeah, I think we see so much, don't we, Daniel, on the international scene now that, of course, a lot of Sodetsuri, Komigoshi and Seoyotoshi movements. And what happens is, especially when they can't get two hands on, and in order to make an immediate attack, sometimes they will just turn in and the arm is straight. So it means that the hips are across, and you can see that I'm starting to apply pressure here to the hand. And the other thing is that sometimes, because they can't get the second hand on here, they take hold with both hands. So it doesn't always go over the top. Sometimes it's just applying pressure here and making sure that I get an attack in. All right, this is one of the key situations. And the second one is where they wrap up an arm completely here. Sometimes as well what they do is that they'll take hold of the lapel here, and then what they'll do is just stick the hips across here, and you can see that it really applies pressure here to the arm and to the shoulder, especially if you haven't got a second grip on in order to do your kazushi. So two very important situations that we see a lot on the international circuit.
Thank you very much. I think with this demonstration, we also answered the question before, and also we have two videos from international competition from the World Judo Tour from this year, actually, where we can see this. Please watch the movement of the white athlete. It was a start of a Seoyotoshi or Seoinage, but without having classic grips, but using the grip on one arm of the opponent and then with the shoulder pushing down. I kindly ask you for one more time video from the first. One more time the first video, please. And here, please have a look, especially to the final part of the action. And we have in three different pictures, we have the progression of this action Here you can see double grip on the sleeve or end of the arm. The continuation in the next picture, pressing the elbow. As you can see, blue do not have any realistic chance to escape. It cannot be avoided. And also we cannot speak here about a throw. This is one group of techniques. And we have another group of techniques which Neil very nice demonstrate, that the techniques where we are using the hip, ogoshi. In this case, taking over the grip, over the elbow and forcing the opponent to fall, but not by executing a clean Kodokan judo technique, but by forcing the elbow or the shoulder. Would you be so kind to show me the video for this example? We are going here, as you can see, blue is going with the leg inside, with the arm over the arm of white, with the purpose of making and throwing action. But as you can see, and I kindly ask you one more time, exactly. Here you can see that white had no chance to avoid the dangerous grip of blue, and also blue do not have tukumikata. I would like to point one more time, judo is a sport, it's an Olympic sport. We have rules which help us to have a safety sport. Because of those reasons, kumikata is very essential. Correct kumikata is essential. And kumikata where we can damage, where we can put in danger our opponents are forbidden. And finishing this block, I would like to go to the next questions we have in the end of this session. And I would like to start with the next question. Where is tachiwaza? Where is newaza? Neil, I kindly ask you with your partner just to go in a short progression from standing, from tachiwaza, going down with one knee, with the second knee, with the elbow, and with the second elbow.
So, tachiwaza, obvious. And if my opponent is down on one knee, tachiwaza, because I can still attack, and two knees. We're still in a situation here where it's possible for me to attack and to score. One hand down here, and it's still a throwing position for me. Still, I'm able to come into a situation where maybe I can get a score. The newaza situation, elbows down here, is if the elbows are down on the floor here. So even from this situation here, if I picked my opponent up to here and then came in, it would be from a newaza situation. So if it begins here and the hands or knees, elbows, are down on the floor, then it is newaza attack. And it means now that I can attack. And anything that I do, even if I take my opponent backwards, or even if I take my opponent for a sumagaeshi movement, it will still be a newaza situation if it begins with the elbows down. Did that explain it okay, Daniel?
Thank you very much, Neil. This helped me to clarify the answer for the next question from Antpeo. The question is, what is the moment when tachiwaza changed into newaza? And I kindly ask your uke to stay first flat on the mat. This is a clear newaza situation.
This is a clear newaza situation. Onto the knees, clear newaza, both elbows down.
And now we have to be very, very clear. From here, in the moment uke start to stand up, is going up, this we are starting to speak again about tachiwaza.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, this is where I think a lot of people, Daniel, get mixed up, because as soon as they start to stand up, and this is what we've said here, is that it leaves it open for me to attack. It is then tachiwaza. So one of the good things, I think, for our progression with the rules is that from a newaza, complete newaza situation, especially if I have a grip kumakata here, if they start to stand up here, then possible to attack. Then it is tachiwaza.
Thank you very much, Neil. The last question from the JudoFest 2020, it is about the gi, the uniform. I would like to make very sensitive the article from Nicholas Messner, who explained the role of the judogi, the judo uniform. And here we have the question about why make it thicker, the judogi, or not? Why you let like this? Now, before I give the answer to Neil, I would like to take in consideration that our athletes are going from -48 to +100 kilograms. So we have to design a uniform which can cover all the possibilities, all the forces, the activity, the techniques can be done with this uniform. Neil, would you be so kind to help me with this last question?
Sure. Well, as you pointed out, Daniel, the thickness of the material is because of lightweight right the way through. It has to be able to adapt to all weight categories. But the interesting thing is, Daniel, is that, and I've done randori with people wearing karate gis, with thinner material. And thinner material is just as dangerous. And you think, oh, well, it's easier to grip. But it isn't, because quite often what happens is, if they start to turn and you've got your fingers caught in the thinner material, or they pull away from you here, then often they can really damage your hand. So thinner material as well is not a good thing. So this is why the actual thickness of the material is fairly standard right the way through.
So, Neil, this explanation concludes our part of JudoFest 2020. I cannot believe that we spent in more than 1 hour so much time together and so many information we exchanged. Working with you makes my life much easier. In the end, I would like to say in the name of the IGF executive, in the name of the IGF and all commissions, a very big thank you to all judo family around the world. I would like to congratulate and thank you for this difficult year, 2020. I would like to wish you happy holidays, a healthy and successful 2021. Neil, thank you very much for working with you. And I also want to say thank you very much to the colleagues from Fighting Films, making possible recording and having a very nice live transmission from this 2020 JudoFest.
Daniel, this has been an absolute blast. For us, it's always our pleasure, it's our passion. And we hope that you've got a lot out of it and that we've answered a lot of your questions. And so I just, with Daniel, like to wish you all happy holidays. And I know it's been a very difficult year. It really has been a difficult year for everybody. 2021 is going to be good for us all. Make it happen, and we'll see you all out there. And from Daniel and myself, it's goodbye for now.